Oh, it looks like we are ready to head over back to the game now. See the prizes have been laid out.
There we go. These are going to be Karl's prizes, and there, of course, you see a Woobat. You know it's got to be Sander.
Woobat and Munchlax as well.
In terms of Karl's prizes, they seem absolutely fine. Megalopony, Jigglypuff, not going to be an important card in this matchup so much. Only one energy in the prize cards, and that's always something you have to follow when you're up against these sorts of archetypes from Sander. For those of you questioning what's going on, Karl looks like he's the one going first. He's got himself a Jirachi, and Sander with his boy, Mareep, in the active. Yeah,
he's decided he likes it enough. He's playing 2 currently. It's one of his few 2R Pokemon.
Incredible. And we are going to see a second Jirachi come down from Karl. And he's also going to fire off his Cynthia here. So the Woobat that you saw in Sander's prizes, that is similar to maybe the Spider Lock archetype that you may be familiar with, where there's a bunch of like Dupida that try and trap things. The new Woobat has a very similar attack to that, where it can prevent the opponent from retreating.
Yeah, just for one colorless energy, it stops your opponent from retreating, which is such a versatile attack here. There's so many times where you can just win a game by doing that. It's a very worthwhile inclusion in the stall deck to have.
So Karl, not a great hand. He actually draws the Kroganal pretty quickly. He's also able to get one more Stellar Wish in here. So we're going to see what else he's able to pull up.
See, it was interesting. He actually had the Cryogonal in his hand before he played the Cynthia, so he redrew it, clearly thinking he doesn't want to bench it straight away, and he wants to maybe sort of keep it as a bit of a surprise. Maybe Sander thinks that Karl doesn't play it, but then Karl could just drop it later.
I think his initial strategy is going to always be, can I get that Arceus, Palkia, and Dialga GX attack off as quickly as possible? I want to shorten Sander's clock.
Yes.
I want to make it so that I can win in a very low number of attacks if possible, and if I need to weave in a Cryogonal here and there, I'll go for that as well.
Yeah, the really important thing for Karl is going to be to make sure that the Arceus Palkia and Dialga GX fires off its GX attack. Once you fire that off, every single prize you take, every single Pokemon you knock out is worth one extra prize, which makes it so much easier to win the game because you only have to take 3 knockouts instead of 6.
So that second Stellar Wish coming in, we're going to see Karl is going to commit a Metal Energy to his newly benched Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia, and it does go over to Sander now. And we're going to see his opening hand. It's going to be really interesting trying to follow his hand this entire game because there's so many one-offs going on here, that, and especially some cards that you may not always be familiar with. He starts off with a Pokemon Communication.
We know that one.
It lets you go ahead, grab a Pokemon out of your deck at the cost of putting one from your hand back into your deck. So
and
he throws away that Mew, and he's going to be looking for some new stuff here.
Yeah, you can just see looking through now just how crazy his list looks. So many different options for Pokemon and trainers, and it's going to be interesting to actually see what he goes for here. He's got the Mareep out, which obviously to start off with is not too bad. He can just maybe force an awkward switch out of Karl if he can make the Jirachi stay asleep. But of course, if Karl finds an escape board, it won't matter too much.
So I think the thing to take away is that the core of Sander's deck is going to be that Lily's Pokédoll loop.
Yes.
So he is playing the Munchlax, he's playing a Florgus line, so trying to make sure that the Clefairy-dolls, the Lily's Pokédolls are the only things getting knocked out for the majority of the time. That's going to be his core strategy.
I mean, to be fair, Lily's Pokédoll is a Clefairy, I believe.
Right.
So
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So it's close enough. But it's also one of the only 2 cards in his deck that he's actually playing 4 copies of, the other being Pokegear.
Yeah. And Steven's Resolve, right? Steven's Resolve is also one of his favorites towards there.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay, 4 Steven's Resolve,
the Recycle Energy coming in. He's also going to go ahead and use that Fluffy Pillow just for the sake of using it.
Yeah.
And he's also going to get a Stellar Wish in here.
Yeah. I mean, if Karl doesn't find an escape board, could end up being relevant.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think he's looking for something like a Steven's Resolve here himself. That's why he plays maximum copies of it. You want to be firing that off as quickly as possible, allowing you to get any 3 cards from your deck. It ends your turn, but a lot of the time Sander isn't worried about attacking in those opening stages, and he actually does have a Steven's in hand, so pretty solid going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. As long as you're not in a turn where you really need to do the resource management on your Orangurus to get stuff back, or some other attack. Just ending your turn on a Steven's Resolve is better than pretty much any other thing you could do, just because it doesn't matter if your turn ends if you're searching your deck for any free cards. Yeah,
he even commits the escape board. I think he's just expecting Karl to fire off the GX attack next turn, so he's improving his outs against Reset Stamp. You can see he's already eyeing up a Professor Oak setting, another new supporter that he's going to be eyeing up for next turn to get his board developed a little bit better. Possibly some other targets being chosen here as well. He plays like a couple of one-offs, like Rosa you're seeing there. Also eyeing up Energy. He might be looking to get an early Articuno GX attack down to just deplete Karl's board of energy ASAP.
Yeah, it's a pretty important thing to keep in mind. Of course, the Articuno GX, a usual
Oh, he's not even
mainstay,
playing
but
it.
not
Wow.
this time.
I saw Water Energy and just assumed it was going to be there.
No.
So many models to keep track of with this list.
Yeah, so pretty much again, as we might have expected, defying conventional control deck knowledge.
Unless it was a Psychic Energy. I can't remember. I can't really see what energy he
oh,
took
it's
there.
a Psychic Energy.
Okay,
It
maybe
is.
he's trying to get towards the Latios GX attack quickly.
Yeah, it might be. Of course, that tag purge is very, very strong, of course, and it would force Karl into attacking with a Keldeo, for example, instead.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting from Sander. We'll see as he passes it over to Karl how he's going to try and deal with this here.
So literally the only energy that Sander plays is 1 Psychic Basic and 2 Recycle Energy.
Okay.
So there's only 3 energy in the whole deck.
It must be indeed.
Yeah.
All right.
There it is.
Karl using his first Stellar Wish here. He's got himself a Mallow and Lana. This could guarantee his GX attack, which I think is pretty solid. And obviously, you're not too fussed about healing in this matchup, so you can just use it for its primary effect.
Yeah, no damage being done here. So Mallow and Lana goes to hand. There's a great catcher in hand as well. Not much use right now. There is the... Was that the Mallow and Lana there?
Yep, it looks like Mallow and Lana, so you can weave in an extra Stellar Wish, get some more hand advantage going, and he'll be relatively happy with just GX attacking here.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. Does find himself...
If he could have found a stamp, that would have been like the best thing, I think.
Yeah, that would have been perfect. Sadly, not able to do so. Does just find himself Cynthia, means he's got some nice draw for next turn. He's got the energy ready in hand to attach to the Arceus Palkia Dialga as well. So, yeah, just the retreat into the active, energy to the active, and it's going to be the... What's it called? The Altered Creation GX?
Yeah, Altered Creation GX, indeed. I think that was the turn where Sander was most vulnerable.
Yes.
I think if there was a reset stamp coming down there, maybe even like an Ends Resolve ideally and an Ultimate Ray through the Jirachi, then Sander's just left with a random hand and a Mareep.
Yeah.
That's when his deck can really falter.
Yeah.
But I think he's survived that early potential of a reset stamp. His Steven's Resolve is stuck. Now he's able to use Professor Oak's setup, going ahead, getting himself 3 basic Pokemon of different types, putting them onto the bench immediately. It's a really, really good deal for him. He plays so many different Pokemon that he has a lot of options with this attack. Yeah. And he's going to be looking for his prize cards now. This will be a long search, I imagine, because he has so many individual cards to try and find here. Looks like he's eyeing up a Flabébé and a backup Jirachi, perhaps, and maybe even Munchlax or something along those lines. I think one of the big cards that's missing right now is that the Woobat is actually prized.
Yes,
there's 2 Jirachis on Karl's board. If Sander could just Woobat away, that would be really, really strong. But the funny thing is, Karl can actually attack with the Jirachis in this deck.
Oh, yeah,
because Slap actually gets there. So that's one cute interaction that you have with the archetype.
Yeah,
so
because it's a deck that actually plays Metal Energy.
yeah, it does indeed. And Sander, he's going to grab the Munchlax, the Flabébé, and a backup Jirachi here.
Yeah, so Munchlax is one of these, baby Pokemon that has basically just an ability. Like, there's a bunch of different ones around. They all have an ability which does something, and they're on a coin flip, and then ends your turn. So for this one, it just lets you flip a coin, and then if you get heads, you can put any card from your discard pile on top of your deck, but if you use it, your turn ends. So obviously, if you flip tails, it's pretty sad, but if you flip heads, not a bad way to end your turn.
Yeah, really not bad at all. We are seeing him now get a Stellar Wish up. I imagine he probably will try and end his turn on a Snack Search, because I can't imagine he's going to go for any sort of attack here. He can just go into another Stellar Wish, get 1 extra card, and then try and Snack Search back, perhaps a Steven's Resolve, for example.
Yeah. Now, one thing you did mention before was that obviously the Sander managed to kind of survive the turn where he was most vulnerable. He didn't get reset stamps or anything like that. But let's not forget, Karl is not playing one of these archetypes that instantly loses to control decks. The fact that you can just, take 3 knockouts to win because of the extra prize that Altered Creation GX gives you is inherently very, very strong.
It really is. And Sander also has to be navigating around Fione here. He's actually immediately going into the Clefairy Doll. He's going to try and not allow any prizes to get through right now.
Yeah, exactly.
He knows that anything could happen from Karl's deck, so he's got to be on guard immediately.
Yeah, and an important thing to mention with Lily's Pokédoll is that no matter, even with the Altered Creation GX attack in effect, the way it's worded means that even if Karl knocks it out with the Arceus Palkia Dialga, he still does not take a prize card from it, because it specifically says that if it's knocked out, your opponent can't take any prize cards for it.
We see the Fione from Karl picked up. It's a really big tech card for this matchup. He's also got the Krogonal in hand. We're actually going to see him go ahead and use that Fione immediately. It forces Sander to switch his active Pokemon. Sander gets to pick, but the only thing Karl is interested in is moving that doll out the way so he can begin to take some prize cards for that Whirlpool Suction ability. We also see him attach the active. I'm pretty sure he should be benching the Krogonal here. as an option, just so you could even get one energy attached to the Cryogonal this turn. It feels like a really solid move.
Yeah, it does. And you can see he's considering it, but maybe just go with Simpy instead. He's really hesitant to bench this because obviously, again, this is the same thing he did on the first turn. You know, had the Cryogonal in hand, but just opted not to bench it, and he's done it again here.
It's a really interesting one because Sander has revealed now that he's more doll focused than handlock focused. I think that's the big deal here.
Right.
I think if he was staring down a bunch of Pidgeotto and such, Karl would want to go for the Cryogonal as quickly as possible, because you then make sure that it's safe from being Belelba and Bryson Mand away and such. So you're trying to defend against that as quickly as possible. I think at the moment he is like more calm, just trying to power up maybe a Keldeo. Keldeo can be safe from Articuno attacks.
That's true.
The Cold Crush. So that could be the reason why he is opting to save the Cryogonal for now.
Yeah, I guess the only consideration could be, of course, if he did get the Cryogonal out, it would stop Sander playing any more Lily's Pokédolls down. So so that would be pretty strong.
It's probably a late game play, I think Karl's looking for now.
So either way, first 2 prizes of the game do go to Karl. He is able to do the attack and just accelerate energy until he finds himself the Keldeo, which is pretty strong. And and this shows the power really of the Altered Creation GX attack. He just did 2 prizes off of Jirachi, so if he just knocks out 2 more things, he wins the game. Yeah,
it's down to Sander now to make sure that he's always got 2 Pokédolls in play to play around the Whirlpool Suction from Fion. So that already eats up a bench space. That gives him less coin flips to recover the dolls, which is a pretty big deal.
Exactly.
We actually do see Sander combine the Mareep Sleep ability and the Slumber Forest coming in, so that Karl is going to have to flip 2 coins every turn to stay awake. That's a really big pickup from him, and he's just going to end the turn on another Steven's Resolve here. Yeah,
but unfortunately for him, he was not able to find himself another Lily's Pokédoll, so just the one in the active. And the important thing to note about Fion is that, of course, it has this ability that makes your opponent switch even if they choose, but it doesn't get discarded when you do it. It goes to the bottom of the deck, so you can use it as many times as you want.
It's not just a one-time deal. You get to reuse that guy over and over again, and that's why it's such a strong tech card for this matchup. Sander picking up his next Pokédoll by the looks of things with that Stevens, and a second Stevens as a backup as well. And I think he was grabbing the
I think it was the Floette.
The Floette, the middle evolution.
So of course, when it evolves up, you do get to pick up, I believe, 1 card from your opponent's hand and then shuffle it into your deck.
Correct,
It's at random though, so
it's a random card that's shuffled in. Yeah, correct.
You don't get to just, look at your opponent's hand and pick one, but it's still obviously very, very strong.
Yeah, it's still a nice free -1 from the opponent. And you see the first heads. Oh my goodness, awake straight away. That's a huge deal for Karl.
Yeah, Karl's got to be smiling about that. He, flipping the 2 heads in a row, and if you're Sander, you must be thinking, oh man, are you kidding me?
It just saves a Mallow and Lana, and at the end of the day, Sander will try and trap Karl at some point in the game. Yeah. That can be definitely his win condition, so saving that resource, 2 huge flips immediately there for him. He's even got a Pokemon Communication. He can take another 2 prizes this turn.
Oh, mate, that's so good. Yeah, communication, putting the Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff back to the deck, not really a helpful card in this matchup at all. Just going straight for that Fion. You can use the Suction Whirlpool again, and there's going to be another 2 prizes.
Well, Karl's tech's currently paying dividends right now. Sander had really solid starts. He had Stevens and Stevens, and he was able to fill up his board. Karl even with the Chaotic Swell now. Fion coming in, moving that doll out of the way. Sander immediately promoting the Jirachi with the escape board. He knows that he's going to try and want to sleep Karl again. He needs more time here.
Yeah, he does. And I mean, usually if your opponent is taking down this many prizes, you can still do some element of control to stop them from taking any more. But I think because it is not that difficult for Karl to find his last prize to win, I'm wondering if Sander might just be a little bit too far behind here.
Karl powering up that slap, making sure that he can either retreat that Jirachi or attack with it if he has to. Really, really tight play from Karl. I'm enjoying watching him play this matchup.
Yeah, me too.
Not only has he got the text, but he's playing the matchup pretty well.
Yeah, he is, and he obviously came prepared for this matchup as well. He knew, right, I can't just prepare for I can't just ignore this matchup going in. This deck is really too strong. So Karl having to read the Floette there just to sort of see what it does. So yeah, he's going to have to shuffle his hand up, and Sander's going to pick 1 card from it to shuffle back into the deck. So what's it going to be?
It's a coming into play effect, so you can only do it the once. When you do that evolution, you're going to see the recycle energy to retreat, and then immediately reattached to that Mareep, so he can just try and get that sleep going every single turn. He's most importantly developed his second Pokédoll on the board, so he can't just lose now to one more Fion. So he's going to try now to get the final pieces together for his lock to be in place.
Yeah, and this is going to be how Sander finds his way back into the game. Now that, Karl's easy way of taking his last two prizes have been taken away, he's going to need to find some other means of, playing around this. Maybe he can just try and, KO both the Pokédolls, but then, even then, I think it's going to be quite tricky for him to do all this.
It definitely will be. I'm just trying to look through and see Sander's main win condition. He doesn't play any he's not hugely reliant on full deck out mode. It's just all about survival mode with his list, and he's going to do the old Lusamine loop to out-resource the opponent instead. So he's very non-aggressive. He's not really an active milling archetype. He's just trying to have as many survival tools available to him to make sure that the opponent can't slowly get their way to victory.
Yeah. Just looking through, I was a little bit curious to see whether, Karl, what kind of gusting effects Karl plays. It looks like he has opted for Great Catcher instead of a custom catcher option. So no option to just say gust up a something that isn't a Pokédoll for the win, but he still does have options to work with here. It's a matter of how he decides to approach it.
It's another nice head split for him again. So he's not been hurt too much by this Mareep so far, to Sander's displeasure. We finally see a Krogonal now. Yeah. Now's the time. Karl's going to put it down. Going to see a Cynthia as well. This is a huge headache for Sander.
Yeah, it is, and it's going to make the flips on the sleep even more important, because if Karl can just keep using Frozen Lock, eventually he will, in 3 hits he can KO Lily's Pokédoll. And if he can do that 6 times in a row, well then all of a sudden, or even it doesn't even need that. He just needs to KO one of them, and then the Fion can come in.
Exactly.
Yeah, so 4 Frozen Locks will not seal the game, make things a lot easier for him. Did any a couple of other things off of that? Was that Cynthia just played?
I don't think. Yeah, it was a Cynthia. I don't think he wants to use the Dene too much here.
No, definitely
throwing away a Mallow and Lana as well as a Cynthia Caitlyn feels too aggressive. So it might just be that you hold off this turn, power up that Krogonal with Ultimate Ray, take no prize cards, and just say that eventually this Krogonal will make its way through.
Yeah, and who knows, maybe if Sander again just can't find another Pokédoll, maybe he can just win the game regardless. I'm fairly sure Sander will be able to find one, but all the same.
I'm pretty sure he grabbed a Rosa, so I think he should be good.
Okay, that makes sense.
So just the 1 energy, powering up that Krogonal. Karl putting himself in really good stead here.
Yeah, so now Sander's looking through his hand, try and decide how he wants to play this out. There is the Rosa indeed in his hand. Oh, and he had the other Pokéball anyway, so it doesn't quite matter. But this is where it's going to be really important for Karl to come in with that Frozen Lock on the next turn. And if he can do Frozen Lock 3 times and knock out the Pokédoll, then he should be in a pretty good spot to take his last 2 prizes. But if not, if Sander's able to maybe get lucky with Karl flipping tails on sleep and then break the Frozen Lock, then he might be okay. Ooh, but is that the Florges goes to his hand?
Yeah, we're seeing a Rosa goes ahead and grabs that Florges. Also, we're going to see, I think it was the Slumbering Forest that he's picked up.
Yes, it is.
He really just needs to try and buy himself some time. We do see that flip with the Florges.
Yeah.
To try and get a resource back on top of his deck. We're going to see the good old Recycle Energy retreat the Mareep back into the Doll, and we're going to finish the turn with a Snack Search here.
Yeah, and that one is ahead, so he can now put anything he wants on top of his deck. What he's going to go for, actually? His discard pile isn't even that thick.
You're staring down a Krogonal as well, so it's like, do I put this Pokédoll back on top? That's going to be his option, and just hope that it's too expensive for Karl. Karl doesn't want to naturally pay retreat here.
No,
he wants
he doesn't.
to Mallow and Lana.
But he does want to flip another head, and that's exactly what he just did.
And he's also got the Mallow Lana in hand,
but
so he can just do a Frozen Lock now.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to put him in really, really good shape. I think he'll be in such a solid spot from then on, because it's a matter of time for sleep flips to go your way.
Yeah.
And as long as you can continue this Frozen Lock, Sander's going to be in trouble. The only way that Sander wins now is that the Frozen Lock gets disruptive enough times that he has those turns to redevelop more dolls to be safe. Yeah,
that's exactly what he needs to do in order to make this work. Now, Karl does go for the Mallow and Lana here. He switches to the Jirachi. Of course, makes sense. It's got a skateboard on it, so after this, he can just do another Stellar Wish just to see some more resources. He does find a Chaotic Swell.
Chaotic Swell sounds amazing to me. Yeah. Also, so does Switch. To be honest. They're both really good picks here.
Yeah.
I think Chaotic Swell would probably be my stadium of choice here, or my selection, I guess you could say, from the Stellar Wish.
Yeah, again, just because Karl knows at this point his lose condition, as it were, is flipping too many tails on sleep from the Mareep. So if he can sort of play around that with by getting rid of the Slumbering Forest and making it so he has to flip less coins, that will work out well for him. But in this instance, he does just opt to go for the switch.
It's, a great choice and a better choice.
Yeah.
So they both seem absolutely fine. We're going to see the frozen lock here, not taking a knockout, but Sander not allowed to play item cards this turn.
Oh wait, no, it does take a knockout because of the GX attack. It does 40 damage.
Yeah, it doesn't take a prize.
No, but
yeah, it takes a knockout. Yeah.
But yeah, that's sorry, I completely forgot about that. I was thinking, oh, we have to do like a multi-pick KO, but no, of
Oh
course we
no,
know.
no. It is full turbo. Quaking Punch is back.
Yes.
It really is a phenomenal tech card for this matchup as well as matchups like it, like the Pidgeotto control style archetype.
So it's not like a 3-turn clock; it's a 1-turn clock, and now, yeah, Sander needs to.
He needs sleep to stick, basically.
Yeah. So there's a heads.
So that
Pokédoll goes on top.
Florgus by the looks of things.
Yep.
We can retreat into this doll, reattach, and he's going to Stevens to end his turn. So if Karl gets 2 heads here, that will literally mean game over, I think, because this one doll will get knocked out, and then Sander can't put down any more Pokemon that won't give up prize cards.
Exactly.
So huge coin flips coming in here.
And
well, we know he has Switch as well. So,
so yeah, actually, it just comes down to...
I think this could be game secured for him.
Karl just needs to find Fion, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he can find Fion, the game's over.
We see Sander, he's using his Stevens resolve here. He grabbed himself the Celesteela GX that he
Ooh,
plays.
Okay.
That's one of the only Pokemon that can tank an attack from Karl immediately. He also grabbed himself a Super Scoop Up. It's a one-of that he plays in his list alongside the new supporter Will.
Yes.
So he can guarantee to pick up the Celesteela. So he's still out here trying. He's still found his way sort of to survive another turn.
He does.
So
he does flip a Tails.
He's asking if he has to flip again.
Yeah.
It's the same outcome.
Yeah, it's... one Tails will be enough for it to stay asleep. So it all comes down to this. Can Karl find the Fion to seal the game? Oh, he's got Cynthia Caitlyn. He discards the Caramel Metal. 1,
3 big cards.
2, 3.
Pokecom and a Pokemon. That should be enough.
Yeah, that's it. The game is over. Pokecom can find himself the Fion. He can use it to switch to Pokédoll, and as long as he plays, well, he has a Switch in hand. So yeah,
he's there. He's got it. We see the Pokemon communication. Arceus, Palkia, and Dialga going back into the deck. That one board space remaining means that he can go ahead, grab that Fion. Sander going to try and look through and see if there's any way. No, he's going to say, that's the game, Karl, you got me.
Yeah, so yeah, Karl showing the Switch just to show that he could actually do it. And wow, Karl, Blake, overcoming the control man in order to take game 1 in this series.
It's what we alluded to earlier. It's the fact that control is so heavily on the radar that Karl, he's not just said one Crogonal will win me the game. He's not just said that one Fion will win me the game. He's saying, I want both, and I want to make sure that I will not lose to control decks, no matter what form they come in.
Yeah, and it's a very smart pick as well, especially considering he would have been fully aware that control it was an archetype to watch out for going into this tournament. And he's just thinking, you know what, I don't want to lose to this. I'm just going to come prepared so that I can actually have the tools to overcome these control decks, and it's worked.
Yeah, it's a very, very fair assumption, and it's paying dividends now.
Yeah.
You're pretty much in really good stead to close out the second game as well, especially when Sander's win condition is quite slow.
Yes.
It feels like you won't ever lose 2 games.
No.
Even if he loses and ends up tying, that's at least a point on the board for him.
Yeah.
So after winning the first game, you got to be feeling pretty comfortable against controlling builds.
Yeah, especially because, as we mentioned before, like this specific build of control that Sander is playing does not have a fast win condition. There's no... Is he even playing
I don't think
Bryson
he's even
Man?
playing Belelba. I think we hyped up that card, and instead he's just going for full-on, good old-fashioned Lusamine loop instead.
Wow, yeah. So it's kind of probably one of the few control decks in the room not playing that card. Might have been one that he could use to win a bit quicker in this game too, but not an option for him. So you got to think Karl's a favourite to win the whole match.
Yeah, I think he's in pretty much very good shape. I think the one thing we didn't see from Sander was the Woobat. I think it's actually a really, really important card in his deck, because if he can trap something, unfortunately you can't trap Jirachis, you can't trap Keldeos, you can't trap Arceus, Palkia, Dialgas. You basically have to trap the Dene GX.
Yeah.
That's the only card you're allowed to trap. If you can trap that with a Woobat, you can win games.
Yeah.
So it's really down to see if that is going to be what works out here.
So it looks like there was just a quick broken sleeve there, so Sander just fixing that quite quickly so that we can get into game 2. Karl is not going to want to change his game plan at all. He knows exactly what he needs to do in order to win. He did it in game 1, and he's just going to be aiming to repeat that essentially. Just find Fiona over and over. Make sure that Sander can't put down Pokédoll too much, or if he can, just put down Crogonal to prevent that from being an issue, and just pretty much repeat his game 1 game plan.
Yeah. What's remarkable is Karl's not even seen the tip of the iceberg of Sander's deck. There's still so much more at play with the list, that there still has to be stuff he has to play around. He can't just assume the game's going to go how game 1 went.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tricks up Sanders' sleeve still that he's yet to reveal.
Yeah, and it looks like a Floette prize, a couple of other things, so not much access to the Florges line, which actually is a little bit annoying for him, but meanwhile Karl's prizes, again, absolutely fine.
Yep, and it is, of course, going to be Sander choosing to go first here, and looks like he's immediately scouting through his deck. He's got some playable cards at the very least.
Yeah, he does, but he also knows he's going to have to play super duper quickly. This deck is not a deck that wins fast, and he's going to be up against it to try and make sure that he can somehow pull, if not obviously a win on the match, then at least a tie by winning this game too.
He started off his Latios GX, and that puts Karl on a clock immediately to get his Order Creation GX attack off, because Sander also has the Professor Oak as well for turn 1, so he's going to start filling his board. Hopefully it means he can get around that annoying power bind ability of that Latios that you can see there. If he can get a clear vision off before Karl sort of has the chance to use his own GX attack, that could give Sander a lot of breathing space.
Yeah, because Cryogonal doing 10 per turn is a lot worse than it doing 40 per turn.
For sure. For sure,
yeah.
Especially it just gives you more coin flips to break the lock. It just gives you so much. So you can see why this is now Sander's GX attack of choice over anything else.
Very much. Now, here's an interesting thing. We do see the Ditto being put down. So I mean, the Floette is prize, so you would think, oh, that's not going to help much. But we can't forget he's also playing an Omanite and an Omastar. Although,
Ditto works.
Yeah,
it works. Yep, it does indeed.
Yeah, because Omanite is actually a stage 1. It's not
correct.
Yeah, yep. It's not no longer a restored Pokemon as like the mechanic was for a while. So, that bench is full already. Wow. So Power Bind will no longer be restricting the Latios. So any problem being no energy found just yet. If he could, find at least like one of his recycle energies to maybe do a tag purge, that would be to start building up towards the tag purge. That'd be pretty cool. But it's like you said, he just really wants to get the clear vision off before Karl can do the Altered Creation GX.
And as soon as Karl sees that, he has to play quite differently.
Yeah.
I think he can't just rest on his laurels, search out a Arceus Palkia and Dialga and just attach and pass and chill, knowing that you can get the pieces later down the line. It kind of like makes you go faster, but at the same time, Karl's hand wasn't cooperating, so he's just going to have to attach to his Tramper here and fire off for Cynthia.
Yeah, I think he had a Pokemon communication, but I don't think he had anything good to communicate back in, and I think he's hoping with this line of play he'll be able to find like something like a Jirachi, for example. He can now retreat and start doing a Stellar Wish to try and find more things. He's got a couple of Pokegears and a Tag Call, I believe, as well.
Yeah, Tag Call being used right now. You can go ahead and grab him a Malolana. That's going to help him move out of this Tramper, which I'm sure is going to be a priority at some point in the game. So he can get that GX attack off. He's also going to go ahead and grab his main attacker, that great new tag team. He's also going to have a quick look through his deck, make sure that Fion's there, make sure that Cryogonal's there, how many switching outs he has, all that sort of stuff is going to be what he checks now. Yeah,
you can see it now. There is the Cryogonal, there is the Fion. He has access to both of them. Got to be breathing a sigh of relief at that at least. As we mentioned, Tag Call finds the Arceus Dialga Palkia GX as well as the Mallow and Lana. Jirachi gets put down onto the bench, and I imagine we'll probably just see either the paying of retreat to go into the Stellar Wish, or you could even just pass.
It's just a little Dragon Claw, I think it is. A 20 damage Dragon Claw.
Dragon Claw for 20.
Why not? Sander able to Stellar Wish again. Giving a bit more breathing room for himself this game compared to the last game. Last time he had to Stevens just to get that Oak. This time he had it straight away. His board is going to be set up much faster. He's not suffering knockouts immediately, which is also fantastic. Able to get extra Stellar Wishes going. This is looking a lot better for him so far.
Yeah, it really is. So there goes the Pokegear for Sander as well. They've got quite a few different options to pick from there. I believe was that his will that you saw? No, it was
it's a Bill's Analysis,
which does go
be his take. Yeah, there was all sorts going on in there. He plays so many one-offs. He plays a Copycat, he plays a Faber, he plays a Looker. So much going on in his list. It really is wild.
Yeah. The Tennis strategy as well, of course. Very typical in control decks, just because you basically never take prizes. He's actually playing 2 of the Professor Oak setup just because that one's a little bit more important, just to set yourself up early on. But yeah, he's also got, like I mentioned before, the 1 Rosa and the 1 Will, which just to guarantee the heads on Super Scoop Up. That is so crazy.
Yeah, it's good enough. It's a 2-card combo of like an Acerola, I guess you could say. And Sander just says that's good enough for me.
Yeah, so off of the Bill's Analysis, I believe that was actually the Lieutenant Search he found, as well as, what was the other card?
I think it was a Pokegear, just making sure that he can access more and more. That's the snack search there. Oh no, yeah, snack search and then the sleep flip.
Yeah, so tails on both, unfortunately, for Sander. Now back on Karl. He's got to be smiling a little bit that, Sander was still not able to find the... Oh, okay, just the position of the sleep being corrected there, but Sander was not able to find the Psychic Energy, so Clear Vision has not been played yet, which means Karl might have a chance here to actually do the Altered Creation GX. What does he find off this Poké Gear, though? Another
Malolana. Nothing too fantastic for him.
No, but I think, you got to take the End Resolve here, surely. It's if he's able to bench an Arceus Dialga Palkia GX and then just play that and hit 2 energy, he's got the GX attack, and then he's good to go.
Sounds pretty good to me as well. Yeah. So that's definitely the pick. We know he grabbed that Arceus last turn.
Yeah, with the tackle.
So he's looking in good shape right now. Yeah. Pretty decent turn.
Even if he hits... Oh, no, I was going to say, even if he hits 1 energy, he's fine, but he's actually not because he doesn't have any energy in hand, so he needs to hit 2 here, essentially.
He's firing off another Poké Gear by the looks of things. Not only is it improving his End Resolve, but hopefully it gets him more options. It's just more End Resolve that he's eyeing up right now.
Yeah. In fact, he doesn't even bother to grab it.
Wow, he keeps the End Resolve in the deck. That's surprising, really. It's not really a card that you want to hang on to too much.
No, not at all.
It's a surprise to me that he doesn't take that card.
Yeah. If he ends up milling it now and only hitting 1 energy, then we can tut.
Even more Poké Gears here. Karl, full of Poké Gears right now.
Yeah. It's number 3. Finds nothing off of that, actually.
Yeah, no valid targets there. Bunch of energies, a couple of Pokemon. Would have been a great End Resolve.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things. He's playing the right sequencing. He's just not found any good targets there.
Yeah, it's one of those things that's important to keep in mind. Just because you did things in sort of the less optimal order and got punished for it, doesn't mean that you shouldn't do things in that order. Because like statistically speaking, the more games you play,
all the Poké Gears.
Yeah,
I can't believe it.
All 4 in one turn. But yeah, just because you might play Poké Gear and see 2 energy in the top, and then you play the End Resolve, and then you don't see the energy, that doesn't mean that you were wrong to do it in that way around. You got to play the odds to the best of your ability.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that Karl chose to burn all of these options as well, because Sander does have that Floette that can force shuffles at time as well, and just leave him with an empty hand. So
that's true.
Karl's going to play slower. He's just going to keep going ahead and hitting 20.
I wonder what he's scared of right now.
Is he just saying that if he mills a Fione or a Cragonal, he loses?
That's
probably what he's saying to himself right now.
That's a very fair point, actually. So yeah, playing safer in that regard, because he thinks essentially the potential of giving up the Altered Creation GX attack is worse than the potential of losing by the basis of losing your 2 most important attacks for the matchup.
It does make it stranger that he didn't take the other Ends Resolve, though.
Yeah,
because you just never want to draw that card again. If you're choosing not to play it, you just never want to draw into it again. It's an interesting one. And he also chose not to bench Arceus Palkia and just get a manual attachment on either.
Yeah.
So he's really playing quite slowly right now.
Yeah. Could he maybe just be, disguising a stronger hand than he actually has? Maybe
that's also possible.
Yeah, trying to make Sander think, okay, my opponent's not got much to work with. Maybe I can take a slightly more aggressive approach, and then Karl trying to sort of push that back and capitalize on it.
But that said, it's opening up the door for Sander to go for the Clear Vision GX attack, which is something that's very tempting for him.
Yeah, it absolutely is. No luck there from Sander on the Poké Gear, it looks like, not finding anything.
Both players firing off Poké Gears at will right now. Sander was hoping to get some additional value. Maybe Karl's just trying to deny even the surge that he knew that Sander sort of picked up as well. That's also a possibility.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Although the Altered Creation GX attack wouldn't take a prize, so it would still deny that.
You're
so
right.
yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, but obviously Karl must have something in mind that we're not thinking of. Now there goes the Looker.
Yep.
Again, Karl has to pick that one on to read what it does. It draws 3 cards from the bottom of the deck.
Yeah.
So there's another Poké Gear being fired off. What does he find this time? Oh, finds Lusamine.
Another Lusamine, not too bad. He's just developing his hand as much as possible, I think, right now.
Yeah.
Nothing else you can do. You know that Karl has plentiful tech cards for you. So all you can do is just hope that your strategy gets going as much as possible, and that this time the game goes a little bit smoother.
Yeah. So there's an escape board in Sander's hand. That would be great for him. So it means he can actually retreat this Jirachi. I think the biggest thing for him was that he still hasn't found that Psychic Energy. That's what he really would have wanted. But he would need something like a Rosa, or wait for a knockout and then get Rosa, or ideally a Stevens Resolve, so you can just find it straight away. And you can see there, he really wants a Stevens Resolve. He used the Snack Search and just put the Poké Gear on top of the deck.
Yeah, exactly. And we also see the Jirachi wakes up. That's why there were 2 flips going on. Yeah. Karl picking up. Not sure what it was right now. He might also just be so aware of the clock that he's just saying, if I just don't play a lot of cards, how does Sander win?
Yeah, exactly.
That's also like a real possibility.
Yeah, I mean, just knowing that you have won game one and knowing how slow Sander's win condition is, he's not afraid of stuff being knocked out or anything like that. He's not afraid of a bench out. Literally, the only way Sander can win is if somehow Karl, draws his entire deck, and the way he's playing, that's just not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So, even because if he plays End Resolve, that's 6 cards gone for the deck. So
yeah, you gotta avoid that.
Yeah,
for sure.
It's it's like a way of accelerating Sander's only win condition.
So he's slowly chipping away at this Jirachi. It only has 10 hit points remaining now. Sander was able to go ahead and grab off the Pokegear. I think he grabbed himself a Steven's Resolve.
Yes, he did.
And he's debating what to retreat into. He's going into his Munchlax.
Munchlax, maybe?
Munchlax has a natural free retreat as well, don't forget.
Oh, no, yes it does. I actually didn't know that. That's really good.
It's a really, really nice little addition. The Munchlax is like never a bad card to see because it's like an optimal starter as well as like a great ability for you in those early turns.
Yeah, so there is the Steven's Resolve, able to find himself any free cards he wants. Go straight for that Psychic Energy. Obviously very, very important to find that. And maybe now this is the turn that Karl thinks, okay, there's no way he hasn't grabbed the Psychic Energy from the Steven's Resolve. Maybe now I just go for the Alter Creation.
That's definitely true. Looks like Sander's also eyeing up Persian as a potential option. Or maybe it's just on the bottom of the deck there. Persian can definitely make things a little bit more awkward for the opponent if you can start cherry-picking their best cards and just getting them out of their hand. That can be really nice for you.
Was that a Recycle Energy we saw?
Yeah, I think a Recycle Energy coming in.
Yeah, it works out.
It's going back over to Karl now. The Slumber Forest was sort of put in play. I think Sander wanted to get that developed before a Chaotic Swell comes in.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we could do see, actually, I think Karl has the Chaotic Swell in hand, so we could just counter it. Whether he does or not is another matter. Karl's hand actually isn't that great still. He's not got a massive amount to work with other than he's got the End Resolve, but other than that, it's pretty much just like Pokemon and supporters that don't draw him anything. Yeah,
so we see the switch. That means he can go ahead and Stellar Wish here and look for some better draw outs, because really there's not much he's got working with. I think the only thing that could potentially be a pitfall here is if he actually grabs that Dedenne. Remember, he has not seen Woobat, so he doesn't know to play around it just yet. So if he does end up going for like a big Dene change and starting to get a fresh hand, that's going to be really rough for him.
Yeah, that could end up coming back to bite him. I think, although to be fair, again, this is game 2. He's won game 1. I'm not sure how much, if the time that Sander could buy by trapping that active will actually be enough to even help him at this point. They've got, what, 13 minutes left on the clock?
Yeah, it's completely down to Karl and his awareness of the sort of timekeeping, and also just sort of can he, because it's very hard to just sort of sit there and be as patient as possible, but Karl is doing the right things right now, I would say.
Yeah, and also he's not fallen for the trap. He kept the communication in hand. He doesn't have any other Pokemon to use it with anyway, but he's opposite the bench, the Arceus, the Dialga, and Palkia, and then just passes over to Sander with a heads on the sleep flip.
And we're going to see now the Lusamine getting back a couple supporters. I think it's also important to note that Karl isn't like taking prize cards, so he's not activating a Lusamine as well.
Yeah.
Sorry, a Lieutenant Surge. So that means that Sander, even if he were to be paying Bell Elbers, they're not going to be rapid firing and getting like a 6 discard all at once. So he's definitely making the game sort of go as long as he likes.
Yeah, and no time wasted there from Sander. Psychic Energy goes down, the retreat into the Latios to end the Clear Vision GX.
That's a lot of energies.
just decides to show it. Imagine if he ends Resolve then.
Yeah. Well, I think Sander might even be looking to start going for tag purges, saying, Karl, you can play slow, that's fine, dude. I'm just going to start attacking you soon, because you're really not doing enough.
Yeah, and this is the one fear that, Karl perhaps might not have been sort of even considered, is that, if Sander does actually start to opt attacking and taking knockouts, like this is the one attacking threat that Sander has, and Alter Creation is now no longer an option. So Karl has to be very considered in how he wants to approach this going forward. We do see he's opting for the Cryogonal off of the Pokemon communication, but that gets knocked out in one hit by Tag Purge.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Karl grabbing that Cryogonal, making sure that that's available to him, but he's still not really doing much this turn. I don't think he has any attachments. I don't think he drew one for turn, so yeah, it's interesting to see what he's doing here.
It might just be that Karl's actually been just that little bit overly cautious. It's one thing to play cautiously to make sure that you don't lose on the basis of you're playing too many cards and running out of cards in your deck. But now that Sander actually has the potential for this attacking option, all of a sudden Karl's really thrown, because he has this attacker staring him down that can knock out most of his stuff, and it makes it so that the Arceus, Dialga, and Palkia can't do any damage.
It's surprising to me that Sander did attach the Recycle Energy to the Mareep. I could definitely have seen him just attach to the active and then fire off the Stevens. We know that the extra energy's in his deck, and it feels like he must be aware that Karl is trying to take the game slowly, make Sander throw as many cards away as possible, and like make him work a long game in order to be able to take the win. So I think putting pressure on Karl could have been a stronger play here, just because of the amount of time that we have remaining.
Yeah, because now, for example, Sander's going to have to go into the Mareep, retreat it, so that he can get the energy back to attach it to the Latios, which means that it's going to be a few turns longer before he can actually tag Purge.
For sure, for sure. There's also the scoop up possibilities. It's just that you're like a turn behind on actually getting any damage off. So
yeah, very much so.
I think Karl's awareness of this matchup is definitely showing really nicely right now. He's making sure that he doesn't make any wrong moves, doesn't bench anything that he can't deal with later on. He's just going to go ahead and keep napping with his Jirachi because the hard work was done game 1.
Yeah, and that was the die ended up spinning for a long time there, but does eventually land on tails, so Karl stays asleep. Now plays back on Sander as he has to read another card.
Yep, that's the will supporter that we've mentioned a couple of times.
Yep.
It means that you can choose the outcome of a coin flip. And we're also going to see Sander once again go for that Stevens resolve.
Yeah, this is actually another small point that's sort of worth bringing up again for those of you who perhaps not quite be as familiar with competitive play. If your opponent plays a card and you don't know what it does, there is nothing wrong with reading it. That doesn't mean you're like a lesser player for not knowing every single thing your opponent can do. It's better to do that. It's better that you actually read your opponent's cards, fully internalize what they do, so that you know how to play against it.
So we actually see Sander's strategy coming into play now. There's an unknown hand in his deck. So this is what he's doing. He's just trying to use Stevens every turn as quickly as possible to just grow that hand. I only just caught a glimpse of it now. It's one of his many one-offs. So this slow approach from Karl does get super punished.
Wow, okay.
Well, it could get super punished if Sander gets enough cards. I'm pretty sure he's still like a while away. I think he's like sort of around that sort of 15 or so hand mark right now.
Wow, and also important to bear in mind, Karl is not playing Reset Stamp.
Nope, not at all. So he is just letting it happen right now.
Yeah,
so that's a big development here. We're going to have to, the prize cards aren't even the most important thing anymore. It's the hand size of Sander.
Yeah, this changes absolutely everything. And do you think Karl will be thinking about that, or do you think that might be like the one thing he's not expecting?
Well, here's the thing: Sander's playing so quickly with his Stevens resolves. That might be the only takeaway.
Yeah,
I think that would be the only thing. Like, look how quickly Sander is now playing.
Yeah,
that's got to be the indication that there's going to be some hand action going on.
Yeah,
you see immediately Sander does the sleep flip. Immediate Lucamine.
Yeah.
Give me those 2 cards. Stellar Wish. Sleep flip, your go.
Yeah,
just go, man.
Yeah, and he's probably realized at this point
that snack search, by the way. That flip.
And he's probably realized at this point that Karl has no wing condition to counteract this. It's pretty much just a matter of time now. And if Karl is not able to, find a way to deal with this quickly enough, then Sander can just build up the resources in his hand, drop the unknown with that hand ability, put it active, and win, and actually pull a tie from the jaws of a loss.
Wow, really, really crazy developments going on here, as Karl's content having slow turns.
Yeah.
But so is Sander. Yeah. Sander also wants this to happen. Yeah. So, I mean, wow, this is developing really, really interestingly to have a thrilling conclusion here.
Yeah, and this is, again, showing just why Sander is considered one of the best control players. He, even in situations like this, which would usually be extremely unfavored, he has an answer for it, and he can play around the opponent's psychology to actually have an answer no matter which kind of approach the opponent decides to take in a series like this.
Karl just continuing to nap. Sander draws for turn, immediate Stellar Wish. You can see every action Sander takes, it's just as quick as possible. Yeah. That's all he's hoping to do here.
He just wants to build up cards in his hand, and he's doing a count to see how many he actually has left. There is another Stevens Resolve. How close is he now, I wonder?
There's still a bunch of cards in the deck. Yeah. There's still I think there's still like 10 or 12 or so in his discard pile. Obviously can slowly access these with snack searches each turn, and with Lucamine getting a lot of these supporters back. So these will obviously be recovered at some point, but you can see him just going as fast as he can. Stellar Wish a free card every turn. Try and use Stevens, which gets you an extra 3, or just try and Lucamine back 2 and stuff. That's pretty much how he's trying to alternate these turns. Yeah,
another sleep flip from Karl. Karl flips the tails, so Jirachi stays asleep. Doesn't matter, of course, for the Stellar Wish. Finds a tag caller for that, but does just decide not to even bother getting it.
I think it really does outline Karl's strategy.
Yeah.
He's just going to try and Stellar Wish as many times as possible.
Yeah.
Shuffle up a bunch of times as possible. Make sure that his deck size is large, and just say, well, I don't really need to do anything.
Yeah.
But little does he know that Sander can do the shenanigans to take a win here. And I'm surprised, honestly, that Karl hasn't clocked on to the speed at which Sander's playing. I think that's the thing that really surprised me more than anything else.
That would be, I guess the way you see it is like the giveaway.
Yeah, it has to be a telltale sign.
I wish we could get like a count of how many cards are in Sander's hand.
Equally surprising to me is that Sander. Okay, that's the thing I was going to say. He hasn't yet developed his Omastar.
Yeah.
Because he has to still expect there to be potentially some stamp plays going on.
Yeah, exactly.
So he can start using Super Scoop Up and Will to lower his bench.
Yes.
To make sure that Karl can't reset stamp him.
Yeah, and of course, Super Scoop Up would be, as long as he picks up something like the Mareep, it would be more cards in hand as well.
Exactly.
So there's a head flip there. The Omnite, as you can see on your screen, with the tickle attack. I don't think that's going to come up, but
it's remarkable how excited I am for the amount of Stellar Wish passing that's happened in this game. It really is incredible to see what's gone on here so far.
Man, honestly, sometimes people sometimes have this idea that Soul Deck's on that interesting to watch. It's just you're not actually attacking anything. You're just waiting for your punishment out of cards. But this is a really exciting game.
It really is, and it's interesting, the attacks that Karl did in the early turns might actually end up hurting him.
Yeah.
These 20 pokes means that he can't tick-tock lock now, otherwise he'll be opening up Lieutenant Surge.
Yeah.
So that's actually really odd that the little petty Dragon Claws that came into play actually might hurt him.
Yeah, and not only that, but the fact that he went so conservative that he didn't even try to go for the Alter Creation GX. He didn't go for this, aggressive take 6 prizes approach, and he's just trying to run the clock out, essentially, before Sander can win. It is potentially coming back to hurt him, and there's about 4 minutes left now. I think that should still be just about enough time for Sander to accumulate enough cards in his hands to drop the unknown and then take the win.
It could well be. We're going to see Karl now going with that Pokemon communication. Looks like he's going to grab that good old Fione, get that to his hand. He's just making sure he's going for as many actions as possible.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is one aspect of controlling archetypes that if you do lose a game 1, it can be very difficult to close out a series.
Mm-hmm.
And Karl is making this game go as long as possible so that he just wins the 1-0 victory.
Yeah, exactly. And you see, he's not playing slowly at all. Like, he's playing,
taking his actions.
Yeah, he's just
fine.
He's absolutely playing at his regular pace, but he's just doing enough things to just make sure that there's just about not enough time for Sander to do something.
It's one of those things. I think you can see now Sander's hand is large. You can see you can actually see Sander. He's like tapping his foot. He's like so ready to take his turn. He's just really hoping that Karl starts giving him more time to take his turns here. We're going to see another Stellar Wish from Karl. As you can see, he's just making sure every action matters right now. That's what Karl's up to.
He just dropped his Stellar Wish, but he managed to pick up all the cards from it, shuffle them back into the deck. And this has been one of the longest turns that Karl has done in a while. So he managed to burn a lot of time off the clock.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
One thing he has done is he's filled up his bench, and he's actually going to go ahead and move the
Jirachi.
the Fione back into his deck,
yeah.
because he does see that the Omanite is there. So filling his bench was actually a little bit detrimental at times.
Yeah.
So we are going to see him move into force Sander into the Clefairy Doll, and then he's going to attach to his Krogonal and just pass it over to Sander. Yeah,
again, it would be really great if we could see some kind of hand counts, but it looks like just the Will
Super Scoop Up combo, immediately getting the Latios and Energy card into his hand. Now the Omastar is live, so Karl is no longer able to play item cards, and we also see the Stellar Wish now gets him a Lusamine. You also see a Snack Search, which gets Tails, and then the Sleep Flip from a Jirachi. Sander still playing at a rapid pace, and passing it over to Karl here.
Yeah, another Sleep Flip. That one is a heads, it looks like, so Karl does wake up, draws a card.
We're seeing a count from Sander. He's doing it so quickly that I can't really tell where we're at right now. I think his discard pile is a little bit too big right now for that to be 35.
Is that his deck or his hand?
That's his hand right now. Karl's been very intelligent as to not allow Surge to speed up this process.
Yeah.
He's using all of his Stellar Wishes. He's making sure he's trying to use Shuffle supporters as well. So he's taking all the actions he can He's also asking for a count of Sander's hand here. He should also keep an eye on the discard pile of Sander because everything's accessible. He can Lusamine back the supporters. He can snack search back any card that he likes. So these are all things at play here that Karl does have to bear in mind to see how far away he is from that big hand.
Yes, Sander does have a looker in hand, so that's a +2 essentially. You can use that to draw 3 more cards, getting that a little bit closer. It's 34 cards in hand for hand, isn't it? Was it
it's 35.
35, okay.
And the unknown itself has to be active, so it's like a 36 total.
Yes.
Is what we're looking for here, which is a big, big portion of the deck.
Yeah, that's the thing. His hand looks massive, but even then, it's probably still not quite enough. Just a sleep flip from Karl.
There's 6 prizes out there. There's 8 cards currently like on his board total. And there's still like a good amount of cards in his discard pile.
Yeah.
So he really has to start using Snap Search as much as possible to get cards back.
Stellar Wish finds another Poké Doll.
His deck is very thin.
It is.
He's getting pretty close, you know. I think it's the amount of snack searches and Lusamines that he has to factor in here.
Yeah. Well, most importantly, again, he's gonna play Looker now. That would be a +2. That will get him that little bit closer. Does he have enough?
14, 15, 16, 17.
19, 20, 21, 22, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So
you make that 31?
I believe so. So Looker would get him to 33. Time has been called now, but I think
he's making sure. Well, he's seeing whether or not he has enough in turns to be able to close the game.
He might be just that little bit short, you know.
Was it 31? I think we're around that sort of ballpark. We're in the high 20s or low 30s right now.
I think if he can Looker, and then do a snack search to put a Looker back and do it again, he gets there.
It may come down to snack search flips if he has enough cards to get stuff back. Which is wild, by the way.
This is edge of the seat Pokemon right here. And it's edge of the seat Pokemon on just essentially
in a very bizarre way.
Yeah.
Yes. He's just going through those last counts and seeing what's the maximum amount I can gain over these next 2 turns.
Yeah.
He is only a +1.
He is so close.
Looker and Stevens are +2s.
And he's so close, and he knows how close he is as well. That's why he's being very considered in how he approaches this. He's opting
so Recycle Energy gets him back a card as well.
Yes.
Don't forget, that's a way to +1.
Okay.
Very, very smart play. He can retreat next turn for a +1.
Yes, he can. And is there any difference between playing the Stevens Resolve and the Looker here? Looker lets you just do the snack search. Stevens Resolve doesn't.
Yes.
That might be what he's considering. So surely you have to Looker then.
It depends if he has more than 6 cards in his deck. Because if he has less than 6 cards in his deck, you have to snack search, you're right.
Yeah.
If he has 6 cards, it's the same.
Okay.
So he's just going to play the Stevens now.
Okay. And he has 5 cards in deck.
5? Wow. Really surprised to not see the Looker there. The Looker snack search. Yeah. But then again, he knows the count better than us right now. Yeah, that's true. So it may not be the most relevant thing.
Yeah. Now, don't forget, again, for everyone at home, time has been called. So Sander would have been turn 0, I guess. So for now, Karl will be turn 1 of time. And
let's have a count of that hand, please.
Yeah. And what's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2.
So he'll be 34 because he can draw for turn, retreat. That's 34 cards.
Yeah.
So Stevens is not enough, right? Because he didn't snack search.
Yeah.
Oh, you can't Stevens. Sorry, Looker's not enough because you can't snack search.
Yeah. Surely he had the snack search last turn.
I mean, you can't end on the Stevens Resolve because you won't be able to announce hand for game. So you need to Stevens the turn prior.
Yes, okay.
But I don't know if he has enough.
Yeah, you're right. Of course, I forgot about that. That's very important. There goes a Metal Energy, retreats to a Diagonal, and it looks like is that just going to be a ice? Was it Ice Lock? Yeah.
It's a Frozen Lock.
Frozen Lock. Yeah.
Okay. Can Sander get there?
Yeah.
Well, we know he's got a -1 himself with the unknown hand. He's got Pay Retreat ready.
Yeah.
We're going to see the Lusamine.
That'll be a +1.
Be enough? Is that +1 just enough to get him over the line?
Does he have a way of just drawing the last card in his deck without, No, he doesn't. Does he? Unless he. Oh, we can retreat.
Let's see this hand. So this gives him the +1 from the Recycle Energy.
Yeah.
Is it 35? Count with us together,
Yeah,
guys, because
okay.
that's all that matters now.
Go 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. He's done it!
Whoa! He got there. That's incredible. That's so cool. He was able to claw back a victory there. Sander, exact numbers to close the win, which is just incredible scenes. Karl, props to him. He went the right direction, I think.
Yeah.
When his start was kind of slow, and Sander was on all cylinders. I think you can't really argue with Karl in his sort of approach, especially when there was no hint of any unknown hand shenanigans going on in the first game.
Yeah.
That it's fair enough that he went for that approach. I think the only thing that I would question would be seeing how far Sander played. You should have clocked onto it earlier.
Yeah.
You could have made him play cards, right?
Yeah.
You can make him put Clefairy Dolls into play. You can make him never get to 35 just by, attack. Just attack.
So I'm sort of just like recovering from the end of that. And that was, I can't believe that actually happened. That
the
was
most exciting Stellar-Wish pass matchup I've ever seen. Really, really incredible stuff.
Yeah, super intense game. Huge congratulations to Sander. It's also, I mean, it was a tie in the end, obviously. So there's no winner from that game. But of course, that was the best that Sander could have done, and he was, absolutely right to go for that. And it means that he's just been able to get a tie instead of the loss that he might have had otherwise.
And I think Sander has to basically take that as a victory for himself.
Yeah.
He was against a heavily teched matchup in a matchup that's also awkward because that GX attack puts him on such a small clock. So you really, really have to play perfectly and not make any errors. In the first game, Karl was able to overcome with the amount of text that he had available, and you could only assume that that's the way that the first game would go, right? And the way that the second game was navigated opened up this window of opportunity for Sander to be able to close the game. And what I do find is exciting was that how prolific the game one was from Karl, not to go ahead and use that